More phone calls coming up. Update the poll results. Rick Neuheisel was there at the national title game last night. He'll join us coming up top of the hour. He's Christopher Mad Dog Russo, host of Mad Dog Unleashed on Sirius XM and a contributor to ESPN's First Take. Mad Dog, good to see you again. Which fan base feels worse today? Notre Dame or Michigan?
Yeah, it's a good one. Good job, Danny. Well, always a pleasure to come on. I would say probably Michigan, because that win to me against Ohio State doesn't mean that much anymore. It might mean something to them, but the bottom line is Ohio State did what you're supposed to do, bounce back, win 4 in a row, win a championship. So to me, if the Michigan's going to take, look at us, we beat them, who cares? The bottom line is they won. They have the championship trophy. They're going to the White House. They have the rings. The Notre Dame fan, they had a great year. They recovered. They did a good job of trying to get back in the game last night. They lost 56-7. It would be really embarrassing. It was 31-7. They actually made Ohio State sweat a little bit. So I don't think anybody from in South Bend could be annoyed and could be disappointed with or upset the fact that they lost. They were an 8-point underdog for a reason. Ohio State's better than they are. They got better players. But the Michigan fan base, to me, with Ohio State, by the fact they won 4 in a row, blew out people, did a great job, that takes away, to me, as a fan, their loss to Michigan. Who cares if they lost? It wouldn't mean anything to me. If I was a fan, they won a championship. So I would say the Michigan fan base a little more annoyed than the Notre Dame fan base.
Who did you have money on last night?
I had Notre Dame, Dan, and here's the thing. I had no business getting 8. I had no business having any chance because obviously 31-7. And then they get the 2 2-point conversions. And then you figure, oh, my God, I'm going to get a push out of this because it was 3rd and 11. Just get the first down there and then run out the clock. Instead, he throws the bomb. The kid makes the catch at the 10-yard line. So it's 1st and goal. It's not 1st and 10. And then they have the 2 timeouts, or they get the timeout left. So they're going to have to kick the field goal. So I got burned with that. Now, to be fair, I had Houston getting 9 on Saturday afternoon, and I got the safety. So that negates what happened last night. It's amazing how betting works.
Oh, God.
You win one, you have no business, or you push one, and then 3 days later you think, look at me, I'm hot. It goes the exact opposite. That's what happened to me last night.
I had to quit cold turkey years ago, Chris. I never enjoyed winning. I just hated losing. And I couldn't enjoy the games. You know, bettors will often say, you know what? I have no interest in this game. I'll put some money on it. Now I'll watch it. I couldn't do it.
I understand where you're coming from. I think there's a lot of truth to that. You lose the purity of it. I sometimes think it's a little bit of an occupational hazard because it does make you focus and on things that you wouldn't normally focus on. And what you and I do on a day in, day out basis, that's important. For instance, I'll bet a season total for a couple of NBA teams, regular season total. Now, would I care in the middle of January what the Kings are doing against the Wizards? No. But because I have Sacramento as an over, I'm going to pay attention. So I look at it as almost at times complementary to what I do. But I do understand what you're saying. Sometimes you're looking at your bet instead of looking at the big picture. I think that's a very fair point. And I can see why you would have done that a long time ago.
These are two marquee teams, franchises, Ohio State and Notre Dame. But the national title game felt a little buried. We got through with football this weekend, and then it's on a Monday night. Is there a better solution, do you think?
There better be. There better be, Dan. It's stupid. We've been saying this. How could you play your national championship game after 4 divisional games the whole world is talking about? I mean, I didn't even mention a college football game yesterday until late. I needed a little blow. They should play the game 2 days before the divisional games, not after the divisional games. I don't know why they've been doing this forever on these Monday nights. I know ESPN wants the Monday Night Football theme because they're on the Monday night. It's dumb. Nobody cares. And they did not get great ratings for the semifinals. Notre Dame, Penn State only did 17 million and 20 million for Texas. They had to be a little disappointed with that. 4 big franchises. And I don't even think the game probably would do well from last night. It was 31-7. You've seen enough football. It was a long weekend. People got to work Tuesday. You also had the inauguration, which people may or may not have been wrapped up in one way or the other. So they were a little burned out by 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it's 31-7 Ohio State. You know what? I'm going to bed. So they probably got hurt significantly with that too. Need to get away from the NFL as quickly as possible if they want to get a big deal going for their championship game. I agree with you 100%.
Christopher Mad Dog Russo, host of Mad Dog Unleashed on Sirius XM, Channel 82. A lot of phone calls yesterday from fans. They were talking about the NFL goes out of its way to protect Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs.
Yep.
They get all the calls.
Yep.
And look, I understand, two of those calls with Mahomes should have gone the other way. Nothing should have been called, in my opinion.
I agree.
Do I think he flaunts the, hey, look at me, you can't touch me? Yes, I do.
I agree.
But I don't, when fans get into the conspiracy theory of, the NFL wants the Chiefs to win, that's where they lose me. Why?
I agree. They take it too far. Yeah. They take it too far. But then, let's be honest. They get every call known to man. I mean, and then Mahomes, then he flaunts it by trying to steal another 15 yards. It cost him a field goal in the first drive of the game. They would have had a punt. It spearheaded their touchdown drive on that 15-yard penalty. They got a call against the Raiders where the Raiders recovered the fumble. And then they said, oh, no, it was an illegal procedure, so the call had to been stopped. So the play was no play. That was the Friday after Thanksgiving. They called the two penalties, and somehow Goodell must have gotten on the phone and told the official, hey, call the other one, because let's call the play dead. It never occurred. I didn't understand that. They got a call against Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. I never would have called that hold, which ruined the game, because then they can just, take three knees and kick the game-winning field goal. That call I do not make under any circumstances. And they're great. Reed's great. Mahomes is the great. We all understand that. That's a great franchise. Hunt's great owner. We get that. But I don't know how anybody could sit there and watch the Chiefs over the last 8-9 years and think they don't get any calls. A lot of the Chief fan will bring up, well, how about the offsides that cost us the game against New England? He was 20 feet offsides. You had to call that. How about the left tackle who always moves early, who they never make that call when he moves early? He moves early every single time, and they never make the call. They made it once this week, thank God. But generally, they never call that. I'm chiefed out, Dan. I'm chiefed out. And now all of a sudden, Caitlin Clark is a Chief fan. Let me get this straight. We watched Caitlin, a wonderful athlete, great. We all know how great she is, great for the sport. I never saw her once wear a Chief jersey, wear a Chief hat, have her father wear the Chiefs, and now all of a sudden she's a huge Chief fan? Oh, come on. I think of myself, I think America's had enough with Kansas City. Dan, I'm rooting so hard for Buffalo on Sunday afternoon. I'm going to beg that Allen finally gets to a Super Bowl.
Caitlin Clark has announced her fandom with the Chiefs years ago.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
Did she?
Yes.
She's a Chief fan. She knows about.
Yes, Mahomes. Yes, she's been to. Yes.
She knows about Super Bowl I. She wasn't born yet. Yeah, still should know your team.
She may know about Jamal Charles. I don't know, Chris, but she doesn't know. Who is it? Fred the Hammer Williamson.
Does she know about Miami, Kansas City double overtime, 27-24 on Christmas for one of the most famous games in the history of the National Football League?
Probably not. Probably not.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
I know.
Dan, you're not chiefed out? You're not chiefed out, Dan?
Oh, I am. But whose fault is it that they show Caitlin Clark or they show Taylor Swift? It's not Caitlin Clark and Taylor Swift. So why don't you call your network friends? Why don't you call your bosses that Sean McManus?
Here's one. Good point. Good job, Danny. Last year, I had McManus on because CBS had the game, and obviously it had all the cheap games. And Sean made a big deal about how they only showed Swift I had him on at at the Masters before his last event. And I asked him about Swift at the Super Bowl. I says, he only showed it for like 3 minutes. What he didn't tell me, he showed them 38 times during that game in the booth. 38 times. enough already. I get it. She likes the Chiefs. Her boyfriend's the tight end.
It's not her fault, Chris.
She watched the football.
It's not her. What can she say? Hey, I don't want you to put the camera on me.
I agree. So I'll blame it on the networks. Is that what you want me to say?
I mean, they show Robert Kraft. Do you get upset when they cut away to
He
Robert?
owns the team, Danny. He owns the ball club.
Who wants to see Robert Kraft?
Oh, I get it.
Jerry Jones getting his glasses cleaned. It's entertainment, Chris.
You're not chiefed out, Dan?
I am because they're so good.
Mahomes doesn't get every call known to man.
That might be true. But see, I don't want that to cloud our judgment, Chris. That he is unbelievable. And I made this mistake with Bjorn Borg. I didn't like Borg because he stood in the way of John McEnroe. He always beat John, and I hated Borg for no other reason. So I missed that entire run, how great he was, because my mind was like, God, I don't like him because he beats John McEnroe. Mahomes is so, I mean, this is rarefied air.
Now, remember, that's fair. Last year, I went on everywhere and said he's the best quarterback, greatest quarterback I've ever seen. I did it all. I did it on first. They all laughed at me. How's he better than Brady? How's he better than this, that, and the other? You and I go back far enough. You saw Unitas. You and I are about the same age. You saw Unitas. You and I saw Staubach. You know, we've heard of Sammy Baugh. We've heard of Otto Graham.
Yeah.
Shula at the New Orleans Super Bowl, and that would have been the Pittsburgh. No, that would have been San Francisco, Baltimore. I had Don Shooter on. I'm sure you had him on that same week. He came in a wheelchair, and we were talking about great quarterbacks. I think the first thing he said, don't forget about Otto. Don't forget about Otto Graham. So you and I know the quarterbacks, and I think Mahomes is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. I can't give him a better compliment than that. And I think you probably feel the same way.
I have a picture that Paulie just got me. Caitlin Clark looks like she's about 8 years old. She's with her cousins, and she has her Chiefs jersey on.
Oh, you guys with Caitlin Clark now?
Would you like to issue an apology?
Is she, Hank Stram now? I guess I shouldn't be picking on Caitlin Clark. I'm chiefed out.
Okay, let me.
And the calls, and Dan, those calls on Saturday were Bush League. Those are Bush League calls.
Brady versus Belichick, the verdict, 3-part event hosted by Chris. Oh, okay. Who's more critical to the success of the Patriots dynasty, Tom or Bill? The premieres tonight at 10 Eastern on Vice TV and weekly on Tuesday. Okay.
They did a great job with this. I did the panel with them. You did a panel first with Carl Banks, Peter King, Devin McCourty, and then they said, would you mind coming back and sort of setting up the scenes? So the first episode will be why Brady's more significant to the Patriots' success. The second one is Belichick, and then the third one, the Tuesday before the Super Bowl, it's sort of a discussion where we kind of break it down, and you got somebody say this and somebody say that. They did a great job, and they go in the weeds. This is not your, shrubbery where you don't, you kind of just do the surface. They do it. They have everybody comment, everybody from players, Costas. They do a great job with it. I spent, 2 full days doing the 2 scenes. Each show is an hour. I can't tell you enough how Gary Myers was involved. He wrote a lot of good stuff about it. He was sort of the EP of it. And the verdict means, at the end of the 3rd episode, I kind of give you where we all stand, and I kind of give you a verdict. I'm sort of just a quarterback of it. The panel does a great job, and I think the average fan will be able to make a good decision of what percentage each should get for the 6 championships in New England. That's the idea of it. I think you'll be impressed. It's a good show.
All right. It's called The Verdict. Brady versus Belichick tonight at 10 Eastern on Vice TV. The Baseball Hall of Fame announcement later on today, 6 Eastern. Ichiro, CC Sabathia, Billy Wagner.
Wagner's going to get in because he's 73.4% of the vote last year. And this is his last year of eligibility. I don't know if I think Wagner's a Hall of Famer. He was not good in postseason play. and that's how relievers, in my eyes, should be judged. But he'll get those extra votes. Sabathia will probably get in too. He's got a lifetime 3.74 ERA, which is high, but Sabathia was a tremendous big game pitcher. Pitched when, on sacrifice 3 days rest from Milwaukee when he was going to be a big free agent. I'll live with that. And Ichiro's a no-brainer. So I haven't looked at that list as significant as I probably should. There's probably a couple of others there. Andrew Jones, for instance. I'm not sure what people think about him.
Beltran.
That 10 years now of eligibility. But it's a big day for baseball. They have fun with this. You and I love this kind of stuff. Would you put Sabathia in if you were voting? Would you put Wagner in if you were voting? Would you put both in?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah. Okay. Wagner's greatest left-handed closer of all time. And I agree with you, with postseason. That's what we want to see with closers. Ichiro, no-brainer. But, yeah, Sabathia was a workhorse. Like, that guy would take the ball. Milwaukee abused him. Before they knew they were going to lose him. We're like, you're pitching again. I just pitched yesterday. Get out there, pitch again.
He had the guts to take the ball, and he should be rewarded for that. And that was before his free agency when he went to the Yankees.
I don't get caught up in ERA. Because Jack Morris is one of my favorite pitchers because the guy was an ace for 3 different franchises, and all he did was give me the ball. I'm going to pitch as long as I can possibly pitch. We get caught up in ERA. I know we use it. We can use stats differently, but I still want somebody who wants the ball. And you're not going to burn up the bullpen. And I was just a big Jack Morris fan.
Yeah, he got in via the writers, by the executive committee. He did not get in via the writers, and he was 15 years, I believe. I could go either way with Morris. No use to fight that argument now because he's in the Hall of Fame. I didn't think Blyleven was a Hall of Fame pitcher myself.
What about Tommy John?
I know he's got 274 lifetime wins. Is that what it is?
I think he's got 288.
Oh, 288. Do you think Tommy John was a great pitcher? I never thought he was great. Good. Wait.
Don Sutton wasn't great.
But I agree with you. And he's got 300 wins, so that got him into the Hall of Fame. I agree with you. I don't know if I would have voted for Sutton. No, he got 300 wins. Phil Niekro. Phil Niekro is he's not a great all-time pitcher, but he's got 340-something wins because he pitched forever with the knuckleball.
Yep.
But do you think Tommy John... When you watched Tommy John, Danny, did you think you were watching a Hall of Fame pitcher? I didn't think so. Did you?
What about contributions to the game?
Because of the injury with the arm? Don't you give the surgeon that more so than you give Tommy John?
No, because he had to go out. He won 20 games, I think, 3 times after having that surgery. He had to prove that it would be successful.
Yeah. I don't look at it that way, but that's fair. If you wanted to say that that's a little addendum for him, no, he's never going to get in. But I'll tell you the guy that I can't understand that's not in the Hall of Fame, and that's Garvey. How is Steve Garvey not in the Hall of Fame? He won an MVP. He's a 348 hitter in the postseason. He's a 294 lifetime hitter. He had that consecutive game streak. He dominated the Cubs in the 84 playoffs when they got to the World Series. He was a mainstay on a very good Dodger team for 10, 12 years. He won an MVP. He had 200 hits a million times. How is Tony Perez is in the Hall of Fame and not Steve Garvey? How the hell is that possible? That's ridiculous. Garvey hit 340, Dan, in postseason play, and he was in the postseason every year.
But you know what? If you talk to the Reds to a man and you said the game's on the line, you want somebody up, they give you Tony Perez. Johnny Bench will tell you that. They all looked at Doggy and Tony Perez, and that was the guy that they wanted up in a clutch moment. That says
but the Dodgers, you could say the same thing about Garvey, but the Dodgers players wouldn't say that because they don't like Garvey.
And he's a 10-time All-Star. I have no problem with that. Oh, you know what? I got to go. Caitlin Clark wants to talk about her love of the See you later, Dave. See you, buddy. Christopher Mad Dog Russo. It's The Verdict. It's Brady-Belichick tonight, 10 Eastern on Vice TV.